It's been on my bucket list for years to visit the Cherry Blossom Festival in Washington, D.C. in the spring, and earlier this year I had the chance to take a quick weekend trip out to do so. I had a fantastic time, but since it was my first time visiting, I definitely learned some tips about visiting this beautiful yearly event that I'd love to share with anyone else who's interested in going. My first tip is to track the blossoms on the official Cherry Blossom website. This website is an invaluable resource to help you plan your trip, and their regular updates let you know how the bloom is progressing every year. Normally blossoms bloom in late March to early April, but you never know exactly when they're going to bloom. That's why it's great to keep track of their progress on this website, which I'll link in the description. I'd also say if you're flying from out of town, invest in a flexible flight and hotel option. I almost missed the blossoms, but still got very lucky. It's going to be worth the extra fee for the peace of mind that you'll get to make sure that you'll see the blossoms. My second tip is to avoid weekends if you can. I think you should expect crowds no matter when you're going to go, but if you're able to go on a weekday, you're going to avoid the worst of the crowds. If you do go on a weekend like I did, I'd say planning to visit the Tidal Basin any time in the morning or late afternoon is probably best, as the worst crowds happened anywhere between 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tip number 3 is to get outside of the Tidal Basin. The Tidal Basin is the most famous place in Washington, D.C. in order to view the cherry blossoms, and it's incredibly beautiful, but there are plenty of other great places as well to be able to see blossoms with a lot less people. For example, I found some great blooms around the National Mall, the Supreme Court building, as well as the Lower Senate Park near the Capitol building. Tip number 4 is don't drive and take the metro instead. Luckily I didn't drive and I took the metro, and I think this was one of the best choices that I could have made. Parking and traffic around the Cherry Blossom Festival was absolutely horrendous. I think the best place to be able to get off to see the Tidal Basin is at the Smithsonian stop, but you need to be prepared to walk a lot no matter where you're going to go. Definitely make sure you wear good shoes, and also remember that thanks to taking the metro, you can visit a lot of great places on the National Mall, like the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. And my last tip is to get up for sunrise. The blossoms were at their most beautiful at sunrise, and it was my favorite part of my entire trip. Even though I was there on a peak weekend, the crowds were a little bit less in the early morning, but even with the crowds, I would say it's completely worth it to get up in the morning. The soft morning light on the blossoms was a photographer's dream. Even though I was only in Washington for 36 hours, seeing the cherry blossoms near their peak bloom was a real treat that I highly recommend to any photographer or lover of nature. I hope that these tips help you in your plans. I try to post tons of other videos with the tips and recommendations I learned from my travels on my channel, so if you found this video helpful, I'd be so grateful if you gave this video a like in order to help my channel grow. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new travel videos as well.